Well, hello, students. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Jay, and I hope you're ready for some learning and laughter. I have an English through story lesson that I am excited to teach you on today. So, without hesitation, let's dive into today's lesson. And again, if you like today's lesson, be sure to check out some of my playlists down in the description of today's lesson. Let's dive into today's lesson. Angela was a therapist. Therapist. Say that. Therapist. Who often mocked her patients instead of listening with compassion. Compassion. Okay, let's look at some of the key vocabulary words. Angela was a therapist. So, a therapist is a professional that will teach or communicate or help you with some type of weakness you may have. There are mental therapists, you have physical therapists, you have speech therapist, and you go in and you discuss your issue with them, and they provide counsel and advice. What's most popular when it comes to a therapist, many call a psychologist. So they help deal with your psyche, your thinking. So Angela was a therapist who, this is sad, she often mocked her patients instead of listening with compassion. So instead of her trying to help her clients that came to her for assistance and wisdom, she actually made fun of them. Oh boy, that's embarrassing. She mocked them. So she would listen, and I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's find out what she would do. She would chuckle at their struggles, scribbling down their stories with careless. That's a compound word. Two words in one. Careless. Amusement. Boy, Angela is low down. She would chuckle. So to chuckle is to laugh, something that I do pretty often here on my channel when I am teaching you various aspects of English. She laughed, okay? And I've always said that laughter is like medicine. You know, no matter what you're going through, you should laugh, smile, be happy. I believe that joy provides strength. It provides something that can help you make it through tough times. Okay, she chuckled at their struggles. So a struggle is something that is difficult. So you might say, I speak French, but I struggle at speaking English. Or you might say, I speak English, but I struggle at speaking Spanish. That was me. When I was learning Spanish, I struggled. I mean, I took Spanish in high school, I took it in college, and I passed in high school. I eventually passed in college, but I did fail because it was tough for me. So I struggled. Now, you can struggle at other things besides speaking a foreign language. You can struggle to pick something up. Okay? You can struggle to get your point across to someone. So you may be trying to prove a point to someone that one car is better than another, but the person may not want to listen to what you're saying. So you're struggling to get them to receive or understand what you're saying. Okay. So we all have struggles. We're human, but as long as we live, we should attempt to overcome our struggles. And that's why here on the channel, I tell you, no matter how tough it is, you never quit. You never give up. You have to be determined or dogged. You never want to quit. Okay. Even if you have a struggle in a relationship, always try to improve it. Now notice she not only chuckled at their struggles, she scribbled down their stories with careless amusement. So she scribbled. She took a pen and she had a notepad and she would scribble or write down what they were saying with careless amusement. So in other words, she did not take her job seriously. She was not really trying to help people. She was crazy. Let's go on. Behind closed doors, she began drafting a book. Drafting a book. So, in other words, a draft is not the final. It's not the final edition of what someone is doing. It's like a practice version, okay? A draft, something that gives you an idea of what you want to do. So you may say, I need to draft some plans so we know what we're going to do on vacation. So you may jot some things down and say, this isn't official, or as we say, it's not sketched in stone. It's just a draft, okay? Notice she began drafting a book filled with the private confessions she had gathered. So something that is private is secret. It's not something that is generally known by other people. So this woman would take people's deepest and darkest secrets and write a book about it. Boy, Angela was low down. Her reputation. So a reputation is what someone is known by. So wherever you may live, everyone has a reputation. A restaurant has a reputation for being clean or dirty. Or it could have a reputation for having good food or bad food. Okay? Some people have a reputation for being funny, honest, dishonest, reputation. Okay? For being cold and insensitive. So when a person is cold and insensitive, they're the type of person that really doesn't care about your feelings. They're going to say something harsh, not trying to help you, but maybe to belittle or embarrass you. She was just cold. So you may say something cold to someone like, I don't like you because you're ugly. Golly. That's cold. That's insensitive, okay? And it's amazing. Someone may think a person is unattractive, but another person may find them beautiful. But to just say that someone is ugly, that's insensitive. sensitive. Okay. So I have people that troll my lessons and troll some of my things on my YouTube channel. They're being cold and insensitive, saying just mean things, but I ignore them or I block them. I won't let that happen on my page anymore. Okay. Let's find out what happened. Her reputation for being cold and insensitive grew, though she ignored the whispers. Ignored. So when a person ignores something or someone, they don't give it any attention. So sometimes a fly or a gnat may come in your face, and you may just ignore it and let it buzz on by. Okay. So when people were whispering and talking to her, she just simply paid them no mind or attention. Boy, Angela was cold. One afternoon, after a long session of laughter at another's pain, boy, that's cold. Angela walked to the parking lot. The parking lot. So a parking lot is where people park their cars and leave them and come back at another time. Okay. Here in the United States, we have parking decks. So you may have one level where 100 cars can park. Then you have a second level where 100 cars can park. Then you have a third level where cars can park. That's a parking lot. You know, last week when we went to, or the week before when we were in Milwaukee, and most cities that we travel to, when we go to a professional game, there is a parking lot outside of the arena or stadium. And here in the United States, when you go to a professional game, parking may cost you $25, $30. The closer you get to the arena, the more it costs to park. And so that's another expense you incur when you go to a professional game. We're almost done. Let's find out what happens. Her car window was shattered. Uh-oh. Somebody got mad at Angela. And her purse was missing from the passenger seat. When she reported the theft, the police officer smirked and said, "You shouldn't have left your purse out in plain sight." Now notice the police officer smirked. So when a person smirks, it's like a small grin. It's almost like, what a stupid lady. You smirk like, okay. So a smirk. The officer's dismissive remark stung Angela more than she expected. Dismissive remark, expected. So when someone is being dismissive, they're saying something that's what we consider smart. Okay. So for instance, I have a blue shirt on. If you were going to say something dismissive, you may say, "That ugly blue shirt Jay has on, he needs to take that off." That's a smart, sharp, dismissive statement. You could have just said, "I don't like that shirt." But to say that it's ugly, I need to take it off, do something with it, that's very dismissive. Now, notice it stung Angela. It pricked her heart. It hurt because she knew that this is how she treated other people. Now someone is treating her the same way, and it stung. It hurt. So an insect can sting you, but the words that people say can also sting you. They can hurt. You know, when we came up, there was a saying that I found out that was not true. Sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but words will never hurt me. But that's not true. Words sting. Words hurt. Okay? Death and life is in the power of the tongue. So she was used to saying harsh words to people. Now someone is saying harsh words to her, and she doesn't like it. For the first time, she felt the weight of being treated with cold indifference. She felt the weight. So now she is feeling what she puts on other people, the weight. Not a literal weight, but we have a saying, if you can't take it, don't dish it out. If you can't take it, don't dish it out. So she dishes out meanness, and now someone is being mean to her, and she can't handle it. Okay, so that's the weight of being treated. Now, when you treat someone, a treat can be a dessert or a piece of candy. I went to the store and got a treat. When the kids go out for Halloween, they look for treats. But you can treat a person a certain way. How you behave towards someone is how you treat them. Okay? Indifferent is the same as dismissive, which we talked about earlier. Angela finally understood the value of empathy, and resolved to never belittle her patients again. Some people learn lessons when it comes back on them. Okay? Some people never learn to do right until someone does them wrong. And that's one of the lessons in today's story. Notice the value of empathy. So empathy is when you feel saddened by someone else's pain. Sympathy is when you feel saddened by someone else's pain that you have also experienced. Okay? So if you have been robbed and I've never been robbed, I can empathize because I know that was a traumatic experience. But if you went through a storm where a tree fell on your car, and I also went through an event where a storm came and a tree fell on my car, then I can sympathize with you because I went through the same thing. Last couple of words. The value of empathy and resolve. Okay, resolve when you solve a problem. And belittling someone is making someone feel insignificant or not important. Okay, you belittle someone. You talk about my blue shirt. Why belittle me? Just keep your mouth shut. All right. So I hope you enjoyed that story. Let's read through it again without stopping at a faster pace. Angela was a therapist who often mocked her patients instead of listening with compassion. She would chuckle at their struggles, scribbling down their stories with careless amusement. Behind closed doors, she began drafting a book filled with the private confessions she had gathered. Her reputation for being cold and insensitive grew, though she ignored the whispers. One afternoon, after a long session of laughter at another's pain, Angela walked to the parking lot. Her car window was shattered, and her purse was missing from the passenger seat. When she reported the theft, the police officer smirked and said, "You shouldn't have left your purse out in plain sight." The officer's dismissive remark stung Angela more than she expected. For the first time, she felt the weight of being treated with cold indifference. Angela finally understood the value of empathy and resolved to never belittle her patients again. I hope you learned from today's story that it's important to treat people right, because if not, someone is going to eventually treat you the same way that you treat others. Well, that's going to do it for today's story. I hope you have enjoyed today's English lesson through story. As always, I enjoy hanging out with you guys. And if today's lesson has been a blessing or a help to you, be sure to share it with a friend that's trying to improve their English. Check out those playlist links down in the description of today's lesson. I know that they will help you. And as always, I hope you join me on my next English lesson. I hope to see you then.